When we're asked to do operations on polynomial expressions, it's really important that we distinguish between multiplication, addition, and subtraction. Now, quick note, parentheses are just grouping symbols. They do not necessarily mean multiplication. Now, in part A of example 1, these two polynomials are being multiplied because multiplication sign is indicated whenever two symbols are squished up against each other in algebra. So for instance, for your 3k, that means 3 times k because there's no operation symbol in between them. Similarly, when there's no operation symbol in between the parentheses, that does mean multiplication. So think of multiplication as length times width. So we're going to use that area method with the box, and 3k plus 2 times k minus 5. 3k times k is 3k squared. 2 times k is 2k. And then negative 5 times 3k is negative 15k. And lastly, negative 5 times 2 is negative 10. Now I'm just going to add together my like terms there and put these in descending powers. We'll start with the squared term, 3k squared. And then negative 15 and 2 are negative 13, so negative 13k minus 10. And there's our final answer. Distinguish that with part B here, and you'll notice that the parentheses around the 3k plus 2 are missing. What that means is the entire quantity, 3k plus 2, is not being multiplied here, just the 2. So if we're taking care of things in order of operations, we need to take care of the multiplication first. So we're going to use the distributive property of multiplication over subtraction. So that gives us 2 times k minus 2 times 5 is minus 10. And so now we have 3k plus 2k is 5k minus 10. Very different outcome there. Let's distinguish that with C, in which there is an addition symbol in between the two parentheses. So that means we're just going to simply add our like terms together. 3k and k are 4k, and 2 and negative 5 are negative 3, so 4k minus 3. In D, we have the exact same expressions, but there's a minus sign in between them. Be careful that you don't distribute that minus sign and then multiply. That's a very common mistake. What we want to make sure that we're doing is we're changing this to addition. So change the minus sign to addition, and then change the polynomial that follows the minus sign to its opposite. So we're going to change the sign of each term. So plus negative k plus 5. Now we can simply add terms. Our 3k plus negative k is 2k, and 2 plus 5 is 7. And in the last example here, we have a sort of a similar setup, but for this time you'll notice that there's a plus in between. There's a multiplication indicated right here that we're going to need to do. So use that distributive property again. K times k is k squared, and 5 times k is 5k. Now I'm just going to bring the rest down. And we can put those grouping symbols around them if we want to, but they're not necessary since it's simply addition. So addition is one of those operations where we don't really need the grouping symbols. All right, so now I'm going to take my terms and I'm going to look for like terms. We have only one term that has the variable squared in it, so I'm going to write that at the start. So we'll start with the highest power of k, and then we have 3k and negative 5k are negative 2k, and then finally we just have that plus 2, so k squared minus 2k plus 2. All very different. We just have to pay attention to the operations. That's it for this review.